and definitely had a relaxing time over the last week and a half, 2 weeks or so. Very much have been dreading coming back to not streaming. I enjoy streaming enough that it's not at all a dreading or dreadful thing, but real life in general, the responsibilities of life, as it were. But we always have to come back sometime. And so here we are, streaming and trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing with my life on the outside of things as well. You're from Germany, you don't know what fun is? As long as you're having fun on a timely schedule, right? Everyone needs vacation, and everyone needs and wants in real life. Indeed. Sometimes, unfortunately, needs and wants don't correlate quite the way I'd want them to against one another, but that's all part of this lovely experience that we call life, and making it through one way or another, and having a good time with it, don't get me wrong. I try my best to keep a positive spin in all areas that I can, at the very least, while still being cognizant and open about potential issues and stuff like that, because we all have problems, and I think it's important that we all talk about our troubles and issues more often, make it more acceptable and okay to do so, because it's important to talk about them and to have some way to either vent, get help that you need, maybe even just commiserate and have a bit of camaraderie in whatever issues may be. But yeah, plus jobs too. If you have long hours, definitely important to take breaks as needed from everything in life. Moderation is key. Yep, you can't work all the time. Fortunately, not so. Definitely starts to wear down on me at a certain point if I push too hard, for sure. Though I know some of my family members don't hold that opinion, and I think that they work themselves far too hard and always have to constantly worry about their state of being, because I know that they will, push that extra little bit. Unfortunately, it's part of the culture that we live in most of the Western world as well, is that that's necessary to survive, when ideally it's not that's not the case, I should say. Mental health is exceptionally important in so many different venues and areas. You have those people too, gotta look out for them. Indeed. No, it's one of my go-to things whenever I visit my parents, is just to keep ensuring that they are taking at least a little bit of time off, as long as I don't drive them completely crazy. I know that specifically my mom goes completely stir crazy when sitting still for 5 minutes or so. But I do try to make sure that at least if they are staying busy, make sure that they're, drinking water, making sure that they're eating meals and stuff like that, because they will tend to forget, and I know that I do that side of things myself. I get very fixated on what's in front of me a lot of the time. And yeah, I look very relaxed, you make a cool impression. Well, I'm glad to exude that kind of energy and try and be a calm and chilling influence as much as I can. I think that that's the nice medium I have, where, well, I like to fixate sometimes and I get a little too worked up. In some ways in my personal life, in general, I do manage to keep a relatively calm demeanor, at the very least. Whether I'm faking it well, or because oftentimes I'm just in a mellow mood and in a good place overall, at the very least. And thanks for your react as well. I agree, Lynn. Those bots, not very cool. But hey, at the end of the day, they're just asking if I want to become famous, right? And who doesn't? I'm not going to go to their sketchy website to do so, but I can answer their question at least. May you ask where I come from? Yeah, I am from Canada. Was born in Canada, lived overseas for a decent part of my life. My parents moved around as I was growing up, and then we came back to Canada like 14 years ago now, and so I've lived here ever since. And yeah, I'm from Calgary. It's in Alberta here in Canada. It's a kind of central western area of the country. It's a big country though. No way, Canadian buddies. Nice. Whereabouts are you from, Player React? Of course, don't have to get any more specific than you'd like, than you're comfortable with. I definitely love to hear about other people from around the same area and from around the world, I guess. Guess you have some of the beautiful landscape in the world. I definitely feel very privileged and spoiled by a lot of the wildlife and yeah, natural environments that we have here, for sure. No, especially since I haven't spent nearly enough time in some of the eastern parts of the country, and specifically like the Maritimes are supposed to be lovely in their own way, but Western Canada. Oh, speaking of the Maritimes, hey, I guess that's where you're from, Nova Scotia. Nice. So yeah, someday I definitely want to get out east that ways and explore some of those areas of the world, but I do really appreciate being very near to the mountains here, as well as nice forest areas. I would like to be a bit close to the ocean. I actually, for my vacation that I just came back from, I was actually going through British Columbia and enjoying some time along the coast there. Very much appreciate my time, but even that's a fairly different kind of landscape and area than that of the Maritimes, from what I've heard at the very least. You would definitely have a better idea of it on your end of things, Claire. And good night, Brain. Thanks again for dropping by with a raid after your stream and for always coming in to say hello. Appreciate it a whole lot. And yeah, have a great rest of your night. Sleep well. A funny fact, some of your vampire werewolf roleplay takes place in Canada. Hey, a decent place, especially for the werewolf side of things. Very fitting. The wild nature of the country in general. And the kind of mix between the wild and beautiful environments you have, and as well as the different seclusion depending on where you live in Canada. There are lots of low density population areas, so it actually makes sense in a lot of senses to maybe have you're mindless, so that's not going to work. Stories take place there. That is funny. But okie dokie. I think I'm gonna retreat away. Oh, perfect. And let the poison take care of that dang old slime buddy. Just happened to work out. Maybe, just maybe, and we are lethally poisoned. Well, nothing like the present to start chugging random potions. Okay, we start off with a mutation potion. Interesting. Unfortunately, well, a bit of mix. Fortunately, great mutations off that potion. Unfortunately, not looking like great odds to save ourselves here. Sminder with the yellow one will save you, trust me. This metallic yellow potion. I do like a little metallicism in my life. And where have I ever gone wrong trusting a friend, right? You wouldn't betray me, right, Spindart? That's not something that sounds like you. I'm pretty sure I can trust your advice and genius in this situation. Let's give it a go. You son of a... It's the degeneration potion, unfortunately, but on the positive sides of things, or as positive as things can get in this horrifying situation, none of our potions would have saved us. So you were really just rushing us to our death, inevitable death, I should say, allowing us to not live out the last painful days in as a poisoned wreck here. You chose the worst one. No. You had our best outcomes in mind there. You knew that we were gonna die anyway. I'm sure of it. So thank you. Oh, so funny. And a scroll requirement in inventory and everything. From Lynn, you have a shapeshifter bear whose background that he is a truck driver from North Canada. Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, my family is originally from Northern Canada, and I spend a lot of summers and whenever I get the opportunity, heading back up there to hang out with them. So I definitely have a soft spot in my heart for the Northern Territories in particular. But that's very cool to hear. The territories don't get enough exposure or talked about enough, so anytime I get to hear about them from somebody else, love to see it, especially from all the way out in Germany. But very cool. What kind of roleplay is this? Is it a like I forget, what's the more general term for D&D? D&D is a form of like pen and paper is all I can think of, but I know that that's a colloquialism more so than anything. Like, yeah, right, Railbird RPG as well, but like a pen and paper RPG, is that just the best way to, you know, sum up all the different systems, whether that, you know, Pathfinder, tabletop RPG. There we go. That probably is, yeah, the best one. Perfect. But you love the contrast between the wilderness and the super modern cities. No, definitely, yeah, I appreciate it here. I was just kind of or I briefly brushed over it earlier. But I really like where I live, Calgary here, if just because we have a lot of options for the different types of cities. We're about, yeah, 20 to 40 minutes drive away from the Rocky Mountains on one side. We have nice plains on the other, depending on who you ask. Some people just hate the prairies completely. And then it's not too much of a jaunt to, yeah, head up north a little bit. Get a bit more into the wild side of the country. Because I definitely have another soft spot specifically because of my northern connection for some of the more wild aspects of the country. A lot of good stories of sights seen, hikes taken, and wildlife that I've encountered over the years for sure. But yeah, I would always highly recommend visiting Canada, even if you don't want to make it your main home. It's a nice place to explore, especially depending on where you're from, and if you're from a more like metropolitan area or civilized is a weird way of putting it, because the dichotomy or the opposite of civilized is so often a like negative kind of uncivilized. But I guess just in terms of urban sprawl and crawl kind of thing, it's cool to get out of there and see some of the mountains and forests of the world for sure. I definitely appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much, Gazarin, for dropping by and shooting a follow our way. I appreciate it a whole lot. I hope you're having a great day. But D&D comes from the war games layers as board games. Later, same people try some more story-driven play. Yeah, definitely, even just the editions that I played of D&D, which don't go back that far. I never played the first edition, but even like, I think second edition is where I first came in with very mild investment into the game itself, but like 3.5 even was so mechanically driven. I love 5e and where it's fully embraced the role-playing and storytelling nature of D&D. That's my favorite part of D&D, being somebody who is a fan of storytelling and kind of the immersive experiences that come out of D&D. Because even just speaking of D&D, I've recently, on my lovely trip, I got to see some of my family members from out west on Victoria Island, and I was able to do a real face-to-face, in-person session of D&D, which I appreciated a whole lot. It was a lot of fun. And hey, Rose, how's it going? Hope you're having a great day. Fantastic couple of weeks here. Definitely been a while since I was able to either tune in to your side of things or see you around these parts with my brief vacation. But what a perfect welcome back to see your lovely, not face, but name again. Hope you've been having a good one. It's all good. We're all busy, sir. Hope I am well. Yeah, no, just coming back today from a nice week and a half long vacation here, and had a heck of a time. Very relaxed for sure. Appreciated not having any stressors or things on my plate and just able to enjoy my time. It was a bit of an impromptu honeymoon from a nice kind of elopement style wedding that my partner and I had. just a couple weeks ago now. Because it feels like it's been a lifetime, but definitely enjoyed it a whole lot, to say the least. Or you've never actually played D&D, might have to tell you about it. Yeah, the main thing is the interaction. My brother always likes to say, he's the one who got me into D&D in the first place, but he always likes to talk about how D&D is just an excuse to hang out with friends, eat some snacks, and drink. Alcoholic or non-alcoholic, just have drinks, I guess, is the better way to put it. Forget that, depending on how you phrase that, it oftentimes implies just the alcoholic side of things. But yeah, that's the main part of it. But essentially, it's just using a system of rules and dice in order to add some flavor and some accountability into a general storytelling thing. It's very what's the full word? I'm so used to just saying improvisational. Is that the right conjugation? But it's a great source of improv to explore storytelling and narratives and all the different things, depending on who you play with too. Some people really like the nitty-gritty details of it all and just working out like the die rolls and exactly min-maxing your character and stuff like that, versus others, like I know my older brother very much leans into the more narrative storytelling side of things, wanting to make cohesive, arcs for all the different player characters that are going along, making sure that people are just having a good time and kind of enjoying themselves. So it's a wide breadth of kind of options in which forms D&D can take, for sure. But hard to get into, especially if you don't know anyone in your area or don't have any close friends, because it does require people to play, and you need at least one person with a decent amount of experience to be your dungeon master and orchestrate the whole thing from behind a screen. Then you were mentioning that wargames try to simulate great historical battles. They use a lot of miniatures and a lot more rules. Oh, okay. So yeah, very much almost like the Warhammer side of things, because I have briefly dabbled in that. Never collected myself, but I've had friends who did, and we were able to once set up a full-scale battle and stuff, and that was definitely a lot of complexity thrown into that side of things. Glad to hear it can be a good time. Definitely one of my favorite. And Lynn, you were mentioning that too bad your English is not good enough to play it in English, can't express yourself well enough. Yeah, no, I can definitely feel that. But it seems like you have some local friends in your area that you're able to play with, so who needs some dumb English anyway? English isn't a great language in the first place. It being my only real language that I speak fluently, I've never been a big fan of English myself. And oftentimes, even though I've spoken it my whole life, I don't feel like I can do a good enough job expressing myself in it. But yeah, mix improv theater, some dice rolls when it's not clear that your hero can make it. Yeah, the nice blend of kind of mechanical aspects and the meta improv stuff is what I love most about it. Especially since, yeah, a good DM and a good session will always start off with a bit of a talk with your players and seeing what people want to get out of it, how people want to play. Because, yeah, some people love to really get into the role-playing aspect, put on voices, maybe even props and stuff like that, versus others aren't as comfortable with that thing, and that's totally cool too. You can kind of do whatever's comfortable for you. The entire development of the game over the years has always been very focused on inclusivity, which I like, and making sure that people are able to express themselves in whichever way they feel best about. It's why they also were fairly early on the game of like changing pronouns in all of their books to make sure that it used fully inclusionary language instead of just, referring to everyone, all players as he and stuff like that. And has also been a great kind of game in terms of its openness and welcoming aspects. I'm blanking on the proper words to express my thoughts here, to the LGBTQ plus community and stuff like that. So I've always enjoyed the kind of full scope that the game has to offer. And yeah, you were mentioning that, Lynn, that the tabletop game is developed from the war game, which definitely makes sense to me, because that still plays a role in D&D, depending on how much, if you're doing full theater of the mind, as it's known, if you're just imagining everything, versus a lot of times you will have, grids laid out, you can draw on them with like dry erase marker, stuff like that, little figurines to be your characters and enemies you fight. So fun. Yeah, you played in the Chrono Time a lot over the internet. There are a couple of very nice people out there. Very cool. Yeah, I'm glad that there are good resources. Roll20 and D&D Beyond. Just with those two, you're able to very easily play online, and that's why this last weekend was the first time face-to-face that I've played with my family in a long time. But over the last couple of years, very much taking advantage of quarantine and stuff like that, we've definitely tried to get in as much time as we can online and get a couple of campaigns going. So I guess one of the last things that I'll sum up before, or on the note of D&D, is that it can be played, as these long, sprawling campaigns with, lore and all these characters and people that you meet, talk to, fight, kill, make friends with, maybe, if possible. That's always my goal. I try and make friends with people whenever possible. But it can also be played just in short little one-shots. So that's usually the best way to get started into it if you have no experience, is just a relatively quick 3-hour setting or something like that, and just have a nice little self-contained storyline that, is resolved right then and there. You don't have to worry about remembering everything continuing on, but definitely is fun in different ways in both departments in that regard. Like the explanation and appreciate it. Yeah, no problem whatsoever. Any way that I can try and get more people interested is a win in my books, because I've absolutely loved my experiences over the years playing it. Can take every setting and make it into a role play, indeed. Yeah. There are a couple of fun things that I've always taken to heart about D&D, which is you should always roll with things, make sure that players are able to experiment and have fun with what they're doing. There's something called the rule of cool, which is the idea of bending, usually bending, but sometimes even breaking rules in order to allow something because it's just narratively awesome, or makes your players feel like a cool badass when they do so and stuff like that. So you can't bend them too far, but it's fun to try and keep in mind that it is a game meant to give everyone playing a good time, and that's the core of it at the very least. And it starts in small children playing their sandbox. Definitely. Yeah, I definitely had a strong imagination as a kid and enjoyed playing a lot of different styles of make-believes with all kinds of worlds and characters and stuff like that. So that's held out and held on throughout the years, to say the least. Okie dokie. There we go. I like the way you phrased that, Lynn. The first important rule is have fun and don't be a jackass. Indeed. But on this positive and fantastic note, I do think we might be coming up to the close of the stream for the night. It sucks, because I'm very much enjoying and appreciating chatting with all you lovely folk out there. But, unfortunately, time comes when these lovely things must come to an end. I'm kind of going full circle there, because I know much earlier in the stream we were talking about how the ephemeral joy of life is its fleeting nature, and so here we are at the end of all things. For today, of course. Always the next stream to catch, but yeah, had an absolutely fantastic time today. Starting out with Life is Strange was incredibly fun as always. Made our way through episode 3, and definitely excited, intrigued, concerned, worried. So many different adjectives that could go into how I'm feeling about that game series right now. But regardless, looking forward to playing the next episode starting next Wednesday. But as for DCSS stuff on this end of things, we'll definitely be back in on Sunday to continue our great player journey, trying to get a win with each species of the game here. Almost through to the 7th species. Third of the way done. That's definitely a nice milestone to hit. But I think you enjoyed. I hope he didn't steal my spotlight. Never. No, I appreciate all the conversation and talking. It's one of my favorite parts about this whole dealio, is getting to interact, have this at least bit of parasocial interaction with all you lovely individuals out there. Absolutely fantastic. No problem this room whatsoever. Glad to hear it, Lynn. Hope to see you around in the future, even though, of course, never worry too much about, too much pressure about coming back in anytime. I'll be happy whenever I see your, I always want to say face, but I guess name to be more literal about it in the future. And Player React, glad you were able to tune in today too. Yeah, glad we happened to stumble upon each other in the Life is Strange category. I'm excited to go over and check out some of your Yakuza stuff and see how things are going on your end of things. Thank you so much for the support throughout. Also, sorry again about not being able to sleep too much. I hope that your day at work is stress-free and goes all right, despite any exhaustion or anything like that. You're very curious about the play with the octopode. Yeah, if you're going through the YouTube videos, we did have a really good tournament run with octopode, which was a whole lot of fun, especially since Zom is an interesting deity to be following, to say the very least. But if you want to see us play, I would definitely recommend that. But octopode will eventually be coming up, I guess, for anyone who's just tuned in for the first time here. For our great player achievement hunting here, or at least unofficial great player, since again, not playing on the web servers online, we are going in order. So we're just about done the simple category, and then we'll be making our way through intermediate and advanced. The one little caveat here is that because there was an update mid-play, Pound-Tongas weren't in this list when we first went through, so they'll be slotted in at the end here. But regardless, definitely planning to make our way through it over time here and having a whole lot of fun on each and every run while we do it. So thanks again to all you fantastic folks for coming out here, for showing some love and support, for giving me these awesome conversations that I appreciate so much. If you did and aren't already, I'm definitely appreciative of any follows. I think most of the people here already did so thank you all so much for that. But if you didn't, definitely do so if you want to be notified whenever we go live, see what we're playing. Especially, yeah, this Sunday when we're coming back into this, or next Wednesday, back into the Life is Strange stuff. I'm so puzzled, and I lost my train of thought as to where I was in my goodbye here, so now I have no idea what I have or have not said. But yeah, if you want to see our previous runs in this journey here so far, you can definitely watch through our VODs here on Twitch, or head over to our YouTube, where they've all been posted throughout the last, few months here. Been a while now that we've been on this quest and on this journey. But regardless of all that, I do just appreciate any and all support that you guys already, or you all, I should say, already show and send my way. Absolutely fantastic. So hyped for a Kobold Hexer. Oh, it definitely is coming. Either a Kobold Hexer or a Kobold Berserker. Gonna have to decide between those two when the time comes. But as you say in Germany, Hexer, nice. But okie dokie. Thank you all so much. Again, we will actually, since I'm already bumbling my way through the finish line here, let's do this live and we'll run over and see if there's anybody live right now that we can shoot a raid over to. Up over here. And who is online right now? Perfect. So yeah, I think I'm gonna head over or send everyone over to Dark Twinge. They're playing a game called Storybook Brawl, which I don't have much experience in, but I believe it's kind of a card-based fighting game similar to Magic, but more similar to Hearthstone. That's the one. Something like that. Regardless, the individual playing is a great person, and I really appreciate their content. So definitely stick around as we send some support that way. And yeah, thank you all so much. Thanks for the good night wishes. Same to all of you, because despite all my rambling issues coming at the end of the stream here, I, of course, as always, do hope that you're having a great morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you guys out there, or you all out there, I should say. And I definitely hope to see you around sometime in the future. And thanks again, all. See you soon.